Right.
Mark, we're Chopper 5 is getting closer, so we're getting a better perspective of this, and this does look to be a constant fuel source. There are a lot of homes in that area.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just wondering if you can see from your vantage point whether it might have actually hit some homes. This might be a huge gas line that it ignited. Can you tell?
From where I am, no. But if the plane crashed where I think it is, there's probably a good, living area around it. So, I would be fearful of, if there were any casualties, because just from the area where the tree line is and just where the flames are coming up, it's not like a unpopulated area.
A lot of homes.
No, our chopper. Our chopper is still in the area, and when it pulled in close, you could see the firefighters spraying from their vantage point. I'm wondering, can the chopper...
We're getting a much better view as the chopper moves around.
This has ignited homes in that area. We can have a clear view now that there are what appears to be homes, maybe businesses on fire in this area.
Well, when I heard the story about it being a gas station, that didn't make much sense, because really the only gas station nearby is by 280.
No.
So, and it's, like an abandoned gas station.
No, this is involving Mark Sinclair. Thank you so much for joining us. This is involving multiple homes. Now that we get upwind of where those flames and the smoke coming from, we can get a very good view. Ken Bastida joining us again in the newsroom. And Ken, we can clearly see this is a whole neighborhood on fire here.
Yeah, Alan, I can see the chopper shots that you're looking at as well. These are homes that are above the area. If you know the area off of Interstate 280, the Golden Gate National Cemetery, be west of that, up along Skyline, at the top of San Bruno Avenue. Something happened there about 6:15, 6:20 tonight. Reports that a plane went down. We've heard a couple of eyewitnesses tell us that they heard a plane, a definite rumble coming through the neighborhood, and then something hit, and it was an explosion. And this would be consistent with aviation fuel burning off. And of course, now we have the incendiary fires that have started in multiple dwellings. I can count half a dozen homes that are involved right now. Just from what we're looking at, it looks like an entire block is involved, and it's going to burn like that until that material is consumed. And now we have literally a half a block of homes burning, and no sense right now of an aircraft remnant in the area, but that would be consistent with that kind of devastation. You can look down that street and see house after house leveled now, homes completely flattened, flames coming up, smoke coming up, and you'd have to guess at this point, but reports of a plane crash seem to be proving pretty accurate right now.
Ken, in looking at this video, at one point I did see firefighters from a vantage point from the chopper, but on the ground.
There's a few back. They're way back. This thing must be so intensely hot.
Well, I think what they're doing now, guys, is probably evacuating people. They want to get as many people out of that area right now. Jet fuel, you can't just spray water on it. It won't go out. And now you've got homes involved with roofs and tar and furniture, and this is not unlike what we saw in the Oakland Hills fire in the early 90s, where so much was consumed so fast that it becomes a firestorm in and of itself, and you can't put it out. So there's a vehicle burning in the street right now, just from the fire nearby.
Do we have any idea of the exact location of these streets? Has anyone been able to identify the scene here for us downstairs, Ken?
You know, the closest that we've pinpointed this is the area of San Bruno Avenue, which runs up to Highway 35, and there you can see the roadway there, 35. That's Skyline Boulevard. So if you were to go left up that street, you would be running up the top of San Bruno, and that winds around that neighborhood there. Those homes have been there since the 1960s, mid-70s. They were built up in that area. It's a really pretty residential area. There are businesses, there are schools in that area. There are a number of sort of light industrial buildings in that area. But mainly it's residential.
All right, hang on, Ken. We have a woman on the phone who has some aviation experience. Ma'am, can you hear us?
Yes.
And what's your name?
Kathy Kraus.
Kathy. Kathy, what can you tell us?
I knew immediately that it was a plane crash, that my house started to rumble and stuff, and I was going to pick up the phone and call 911. I knew what was going to happen.
And how close do you live?
From experience.
Where do you live in relation to this?
On Sequoia, and it crosses Sneak Lane, and it's just on the other side of Sneak Lane. Now, Sequoia's a block and a half long.
And how far from this location are you?
Oh, I'm about 12 houses.
12 houses?
Yeah.
Did you see a plane?
I heard the plane, and it sounded like it was having engine trouble.
So you did hear some unusual sounds coming
That's why
from.
I went to go get the phone. I knew something was going to happen.
And then you heard the explosion?
Yeah, well, I felt it, and then, oh, yeah, I heard it.
What can you tell us about the activity in terms of, are people being evacuated from this neighborhood out where you are?
I can't believe how many people. Sneak Lane is a main thoroughfare, and people are trying to drive down there.
They're still trying to drive in there.
Yeah.
Well, there seems to be a perimeter. There seems to be a perimeter being set up.
Okay, we're having some problems with Kathy. If you're on a cell phone, that's probably what's happening. But I believe Ken has some other eyewitness reports for us. Ken, as we continue to watch home after home here.
Just amazing. These are just amazing pictures coming in from Chopper 5, and I've counted at least 15 dwellings, buildings that are fully involved right now. There's probably more that have been completely destroyed. You can see some of these buildings are burnt straight down to foundations at this point. So this is a hot, hot fire, not inconsistent with what we would see with aviation fuel. You're getting the reports now coming in from people saying they heard the plane, they heard a thump, they heard the explosion, and then the fireball that engulfed this entire neighborhood. We have some reports coming in from people online. Christina writes to us from San Bruno, I can see the fire on top of my roof. It started as a long, loud sound and went into an explosion. So she seems to be indicating that she heard the engines of a plane before she heard that boom. Also, we're getting another email from another viewer who says that he saw the tail of a plane go down while he was on his balcony. He saw the tail, and then he felt the shock wave. He was hit by the shock wave, saw flames rise in the air. It was not a gas station, he says. This was not a gas station. And you can see we don't see the remnants of a gas station anywhere in that neighborhood. This looks like, it looks like what we would fear the worst thing possible on that takeoff area of SFO. This looks like a plane has gone down in a residential neighborhood.
You know, it's clear that whatever this is, there is a center of this fire. We haven't seen any debris.
There's a fuel source in the center of that fire.
Exactly, and the surrounding houses are aflame, but that constant source of feeding that fire is consistent. It hasn't really changed. It hasn't diminished, and it doesn't look like the fire efforts are anywhere close to it at this point. And maybe because it isn't changing. Well,
Dana, if I could just guess, it may be simply too hot to get that close. You're talking about several thousand degrees. When aviation fuel is burning off like that, they train for these kinds of accidents, and there's specialized equipment that has to come in. You can't fight an aviation fuel fire with water, as I mentioned. It has to be foamed down, and it looks like you know,
they're going house to house now. We can see
trying to get
from
people
Chopper
out, sure.
5.
Checking homes and going door to door, kicking in doors if that's what it takes to make sure that people have been evacuated and are out of those buildings. And this is a smoking hot fire. I mean, you're talking about thousands of degrees right now.
I wonder if there's been a dispatch from the airport, from their fire departments. As you mentioned, there's not only SFO in the area, but there's a smaller airport in the area, and they have that firefighting equipment.
You know, I got another email here, and this is from another person who's contacted us via email. This comes from Lynn, who lives in South San Francisco. She says she was in the backyard, heard a plane engine in San Bruno area, which is, you know, a neighboring right there. Normally the sound of plane dissipates as it gets further away. The engine sound went on and on, never sounded as if it was going away. Once I saw smoke, no longer heard the plane. By the way, many of the houses in the area have insulated windows due to the airport, which is why anyone inside probably would not have heard anything coming.
You know, interesting, if this was a plane taking off, it was a fully loaded plane full of fuel. and that's
well, you know,
another reason.
The center of that fire, you know, I covered a natural gas line rupture and explosion when I worked in Oklahoma, and the center of this fire here, the way it's roaring, this to me looks like it's that type of a source, and I'm totally speculating here, but just drawing on my experience of what I've covered before. But look at the way the force of those flames.
You're right. It almost looks like it's under pressure, like maybe a gas line was ruptured or something.
Yes.
And that's certainly a possibility because, you know, all through these neighborhoods you have utilities and whatnot, so that's absolutely a possibility.
Ken, hang on one second. We have Marguerite on the phone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Marguerite, tell us where you live in relationship to this, and give us your views.
Absolutely. We live in the South San Francisco area, and we're right Hubbard down by the two San Bruno Mountains. And we actually heard an aircraft turbine explode, and then you could hear the deceleration of a plane. And I mentioned to my husband, I just heard like a plane is about to crash, and then we turned on the news. I truly believe it's a plane.
So you did hear some unusual sounds.
Did, because we're right in between two mountains, so you can hear the echoes.
You heard an explosion as if the plane were still in the air.
And the turbine popped, like a popping sound, and then you could hear a deceleration of an engine.
But you didn't see anything, actually?
Did not see anything. We were in our home. And then we just briefly turned on the TV, and this was about 15 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago, but I truly believe it's a plane that crashed.
Marguerite, thank you very much for calling us.
You're
We have unconfirmed reports. I just want to stress this, that this is a plane that's gone down, but we have many people who have called the station, who have emailed us, sent us Twitter messages that they heard something in the area that sounded like a plane in some type of distress, and we're trying desperately to confirm this information, but the speculation is exactly that, a plane either upon takeoff or I'm assuming it was on takeoff, has crashed in the San Bruno area. The roads that we've been hearing in the area, the names that we've been getting, Suffolk Creek,
Skyline, San Bruno Avenue,
Shelter Creek. We've not been able to pinpoint the exact roads that this neighborhood
but those
is in this neighborhood.
Those firefighters we just saw going door to door, that house appears to be the closest one that has not caught fire yet. But we have seen from the Chopper 5 pictures that many structures have ignited and started here, as well as that huge fireball that's right in the center of this whole thing. And we got our first reports of this at about 6:15. 6:15 to 6:20 is when the first reports came in, and we saw pictures of the fire in the hills there in San Bruno. And so this has been burning as a steady source for quite a while, and as you see, has spread to those homes as they try to evacuate everybody nearby. But firefighters, it appears, have to stay away because of the heat, because it's so hot. They can't get close enough to try to attack this thing yet. Their hope is to just get everyone out of there safely as best they can.
You know, we don't have any idea of exactly how many homes are engulfed, but the ones that were in this path have disintegrated. There are certainly a dozen homes. It looks to be a couple of blocks. There are cars that have been incinerated. There is a perimeter, it looks like it has been established many blocks out with firefighters and police in the area. Again, these flames, the consistency of the flames has not waned since we first were able to show you video at around 6:20 this evening. They're being fed by something, and again, unconfirmed reports that this is a plane that has gone down in the San Bruno area.
And as we were pointing out, I think I heard Ken Bastida's microphone come open there. And Ken, I know you're with us again, but as you were pointing out, the force of those flames there in the center, it does appear under pressure that the fuel is pretty constant here.
Yeah, Alan, we should point out that we have contacted the duty manager at SFO. They are not confirming a plane has gone down. In fact, they tell us just the opposite. They have no information on any commercial flight that has gone down. So that may tell us that this is a situation where it involves possibly a general aviation aircraft.